Fellow Hoops fans, welcome back to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show right here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our great friends over there at topsport.com.au. Now, this NBA Finals, it's pretty exciting. We're tied at 2-2, and as things are looking, we could be headed to a Game 7. We've got Game 5 coming up tomorrow morning. It's Monday morning today, and of course we've got our couple of basketball experts to break it all down. We're going to start off by welcoming old mate Benyam Kidane. BK, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good, my brother. This series is going back and forth. We could be going the distance here.
Yeah, it's looking that way, isn't it? And not only is it going back and forth, it's getting harder and harder to pick a winner in this series because, you know, on either team, any team could show up. Like Game 1, obviously, Boston had a great performance. Game 2, Golden State had a great performance. They're going back and forth, like you said. Let's talk a little bit about Game 4, BK, because the Warriors, they kind of, I don't want to say breathe new life into this series, but, you know, it would have been very, very hard for them to come back from 3-1 down. I said it on last week's show. If they'd gone 3-1 down, this thing would have been a wrap tomorrow. But Boston kind of coughed that one up at home. Obviously, we know Steph had that incredible performance, 43 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Andrew Wiggins chipped in with 17 points, 16 rebounds. This is now a best of 3, BK, and the Warriors have 2 of these 3 games at home if necessary. What did you make of Game 4?
Well, I think the first point here is that home court advantage really doesn't seem to matter in this series. Both teams have gone in. And got the job done on the road. But I think for the Boston Celtics, it was really just a matter of execution down the stretch because, you know, they were up, late in the fourth quarter, and then they kind of just fell in love with the 3-point line. And when you do that against the Golden State Warriors, you know, in a shootout, 9 times out of 10, the Dubs are gonna have you covered in that department, and that's kind of what we saw down the stretch of this game. But really, this was the Steph Curry game. This was one of his best ever finals performances.
Absolutely, BK. We are going to get into that in just a second about that whole Steph Curry thing. One point I do want to bring up about the Boston Celtics, you know, and it's been a talking point throughout these playoffs. You know, we've talked about it many times, is the turnovers. So in Game 4, they again had 16 turnovers. Now, when they have 16 or more turnovers, they've yet to win a game, BK. When they do actually protect the ball, I think they're like 13-2 or 14-2. During the playoffs. So obviously when they don't turn the ball over, they actually win games. They had 16 turnovers again in Game 4, which led to 35 Golden State Warriors points off those turnovers. What adjustments, I mean, aside from the turnovers, BK, what adjustments do the Celtics have to make now going back to San Fran, do you think, for Game 5?
Well, I think, you know, it's not necessarily a matter of adjustments. It's as you said, they just have to clean things up. With the ball in their hands. And I think the big one as well is Jason Tatum. You know, we've kind of been talking about him being the guy for the Boston Celtics, you know, in this sort of finals MVP conversation with Steph Curry. But again, you know, when the going kind of got tight, he really wasn't anywhere to be found. I think he only scored that 1 field goal down the stretch, at the start of the fourth quarter. But the Warriors did a terrific job just keeping him out of the game, contesting everything. I thought Andrew Wiggins was terrific in this game, but you know, when you can kind of take out the best player on the other team, that's when it's really on the other guys to kind of step up. And when we do see the other guys from the Celtics step up, usually it's because Jason Tatum is kind of facilitating and making things happen for them. So I think the Warriors did a great job of just kind of taking Tatum out of the game. The Celtics really just can't afford for that to happen.
Yeah, they've really done a great job of that, BK. And the thing is with Tatum so far, we haven't really seen that sort of, I guess, signature finals game, right? Like he had that Game 1 where he struggled shooting the ball, but he gets those 13 assists, like you said, playmaking, playing more of a defensive role. Game 2, looking to force his shot a little bit more. Game 3, I believe he didn't really shoot the ball super well either, but he hasn't played bad. He's played, pretty well. But we haven't seen that sort of breakout game where he's been able to take that team and put them on his shoulders and kind of just will them to a victory as Steph Curry did in Game 4.
Yeah, and like you said, we saw him do it against the Bucks. We saw him do it against the Heat, and for mine, it's really kind of been Jaylen Brown has been the consistent guy, for the Boston Celtics, and what Steph Curry's doing for the Warriors. That's kind of what the Celtics need from Jason Tatum. But now, when you look at the momentum, the swings game to game in this series are just phenomenal. Because after game 3, it was really like, oh, you know what, the Celtics might have this covered, but here we are looking ahead to game 5 with momentum now with Golden State. What did you make of Draymond and his situation in the fourth quarter? Because Steve Kerr opted to go with Kevon Looney down the stretch. They stuck with Jordan Poole, the guys that kind of got them in that position. And look, he did come back in late in the game, but really it was kind of Looney holding it down there for the Dubs.
I'm not mad at that at all. I'm actually surprised Steve Kerr didn't do that earlier, because Draymond Green has been god awful. Like, he's been pretty much non-existent. He had that one,
and he'll admit it.
Yeah, he'll admit it. I mean, he said it, I think, after game 3, where he said, I played like shit. I've been playing like shit, or something along those lines. So I'm surprised that he hasn't gone with Kevon Looney. We've mentioned before as well on that Twitter Spaces that we did that, maybe even give some minutes to Kuminga and Moses Moody. I know you don't want to go with these sort of, younger, more inexperienced guys, but, Kevon Looney is a guy that I'd like to see play more minutes. When Draymond got benched, I think it was halfway through that fourth quarter that Kerr took him out. He took him out for, I think, 4 or 5 minutes. So it wasn't like he sat out the entirety. I think he did come back in after he was benched. But look, you got to go with the guys that have gotten you there, right? And Draymond Green has been non-existent, so I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, and I like the idea of Kuminga just coming and just giving them another athletic kind of body. I mean, it's hard to trust these sort of young guys in these close situations, just given how much success the Warriors have kind of had with this experienced group. But that's kind of where the advantage is for the Celtics, is the depth, is kind of going down the roster and finding other guys that can contribute. Whereas the Golden State Warriors are a little more locked into their core guys. But I wouldn't mind seeing some of these younger guys maybe getting some burn in this last sort of 3 games. But I don't know. Do you kind of feel like the Warriors now coming back home for game 5? Do they have the advantage in this series, or you see this kind of flip-flopping kind of as we've seen?
BK, like I said, man, this thing's getting harder and harder to predict. Logic dictates that the Warriors going home now for game 5 suggests that they've probably got the momentum, and they're an experienced group. They'd probably carry it on, but honestly, I don't know. I've got no clue which one of these teams is actually going to show up. One more thing I just want to touch on about this game before we move on to Steph Curry's performance in a little bit more detail is, you did mention the Celtics having a little bit more depth. I want to ask you this. How do the Warriors get more out of their guys not named Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins? Because obviously we know Curry had that incredible performance, and I thought Wiggins was fantastic with the 17 and 16. But you look down, right? I've said it before, and I'm going to continue saying it. Klay Thompson is not that guy anymore. And I'm going to use that meme voice. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. Like, he can give it to you in spurts, but he can't give it to you every single game. How far can Steph Curry, can he carry them to 2 more wins, right, in this series? Because the way I'm looking at it is, even if he only carries you to 1 more, if Klay can just have that one sort of breakout performance, because that's all it's going to take, 1 game where him and Curry kind of like really erupt, and go old school Splash Brothers for them to get over the line, because no one else on this Warriors team's really given that consistent effort. Wiggins has been their second most consistent player throughout these finals.
Yeah, look, I don't know if it's going to come in game 5, but you know what comes after game 5? Game 6.
Game 6 Klay.
That's what you got to wait for Klay Thompson. But you're 100% right. There were some stretches, late in this game where Jaylen Brown was giving Klay Thompson the business. Like the one-on-one defense, like it's there, but it's not the same as it used to be, especially when you're coming up against 2 super athletic wing guys in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like, it's tough out there because Klay is working hard on the defensive end, but the impact isn't quite the same. But it's really on the offensive end where I'm more concerned with Klay, because I can get by if he's not defending at that level. We've seen Andrew Wiggins be sensational in this series. I mean, Jason Tatum had 23 points on on 23 shots. His length and work on the glass has been, hugely important for the Dubs. But it's the spacing down the other end of the floor, because they weren't doubling Steph Curry. And look, ultimately he popped off and hit him for 43. It's those situations when they do send extra help and Klay Thompson is getting wide open shots and he's knocking down 5-6 threes a game. That's when the Golden State Warriors really do look at their best. So it could be a matter of, okay, are we going to let Steph Curry cook and just kind of shut down everything else? Because it's a dangerous idea, but it could be their best one, because they haven't really quite got that secondary offensive help consistently from one guy throughout the series so far.
No, they haven't. And look, if we can get a Game 6 Klay performance, I'm all down for that.
I'm a believer. He's still got it in Game 6.
We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit about Steph Curry's performance, because he literally carried this team on his back, willed them to that victory pretty much, BK. I want to ask you where this performance kind of ranks in his, all-time finals performances, because like we mentioned, we had the 40, was it 47 or 43? I thought it was 47.
I think he had a 47 and a 44, but they were both in losses.
Yeah, okay. So he obviously had the 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 7 made three-pointers in Game 4 as well. Also became the first player in NBA history to have 5+ three-pointers made in 4 consecutive NBA Finals games. That 47-point performance you mentioned came in a loss to the Raptors in 2019. But I feel like the gravity of this situation is sort of, the moment was obviously a lot more than that 2019 Finals game, because if they'd lost this game, they would have been 3-1 down, heading back to San Fran. And like I said, that would have been a wrap. So, when you look at the rest of the Warriors squad, like we've mentioned, Klay's not Klay. Draymond's virtually non-existent. Jordan Poole's been inconsistent. Wiggins has been the team's second best, player, second most consistent player. Curry is doing a 2015 LeBron and really sort of carrying this team, as far as he can carry it. So yeah, I agree. This is probably his best finals performance for me.
Yeah, look, on the road at TD Garden, down 2-1 against the Boston Celtics. Really, this was, I'm not going to say win or go home, but this was your season though. Right here. Like you go down 3-1, like that's a wrap. So, in terms of the gravity of the situation and the fact that, his teammates weren't necessarily, giving him that much help offensively. For mine, I think this was probably one of the most important performances of Steph Curry's career, just because of the gravity of the situation. This was an all-timer for him. He's now shooting, I think, 25 of 51 from the three-point line. Like this guy's rolling around 50% from deep in the NBA Finals is crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous, man. And the thing is, he just makes it look so easy, man. I love Steph. All right, BK, let's talk about, all right, because this has become a bit of a topic now in the last couple of days, because Steph has been the best player on the floor out of both teams, right, so far this NBA Finals. Now, I want to pose this to you. If the Golden State Warriors lose this NBA Finals, should Steph Curry win the Finals MVP regardless?
Are you trying to do him like Jerry West?
Jerry West is the only player to have won the Finals MVP from a losing team. Now, this is my point, right? I'm a big proponent of you've got to be on the winning team, right? Just like the regular season MVP, you've got to be, your team's got to be in the top 4 seedings in your conference. For the Finals MVP, I just find it hard to give it to a player on the losing team. The only one that I would have given it to was LeBron in 2015, who led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, steals. LeBron led both teams in everything that series. He was absolutely incredible. And my thing is, if they didn't give it to LeBron in 2015, and they gave it to Andre Iguodala, there's no way you can give it to Steph, who, don't get me wrong, this is not taken away from Steph, this final series at all. But you can't give it to Steph if you didn't give it to LeBron in 2015, because I thought LeBron had a much better series than what Curry's having right now.
Oh, and LeBron was crazy. Like, he led both teams in every statistical category. But this is where I kind of become a curmudgeon-y old man. I don't like this. If you don't win the series, you're not the MVP.
I'm with you.
You were so good, you would have won. And do you even want that award if you're on the losing side? Great, I'm good at basketball and I still lost, and now I have this to remind me. I don't think you even want it.
Yeah, like I don't think Steph Curry wants his first Finals MVP to come from this, like a losing team, you know.
Objectively, that would be hilarious, though.
Yeah, look, the memes people would be getting off if that happens. But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Like this, I am, old man shakes fist at cloud on this one here as well. Yeah, like if you're on the losing squad, then really, how valuable really were you? Someone, a good friend of the program, actually posed the question before that if this goes to a game 7 and they lose by 1 point, can he still be the Finals MVP? Like you were still very valuable in getting your team to that point, and I disagree.
Look, that is a very, very interesting point because at that point you are splitting hairs between what decides the series. But I'm a die on this hill.
Yeah, I'm with you, BK. We're dying on this hill. We're dying on this hill together. You may be alone on Westbrook Island, but on this one here, I'm joining you, mate.
Because it's also just a cool moment for the victorious team. Like you've got the Larry O'Brien. Who was the best player that helped you achieve that? That's the Finals MVP.
Yeah,
I feel like it's linked. These aren't individual awards per se that we can separate.
Yeah, I am with you 100%, BK. I love that we're in total agreement on that one there. All right, BK, I know you've got to head off. Real quick, Game 5 tomorrow. Who do you think wins?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's
but I'm gonna go with the Dubs.
All right, you're going with the Dubs. All right, BK, my man. We're going to catch you again later on in the week. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you, my brother.
All right, now we're going to bring on a guy who we hope has some idea about who's going to win the game tomorrow. It's the old magic man, our resident betting expert, Mr. Andrew Parkinson. Parky, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. And I'm a bit with BK. It's tough to pick winners in this one, but I must say, Nick, you've got to blow your own trumpet, mate. You went 2 for 2. You actually picked the Warriors in this game 4, and you picked the under as well. So we've got to give you your flowers for your 2 picks.
I appreciate that, Parky. And if we're going to follow this thing of me, blowing my own horn, then I've also got to mention that I picked the Warriors by 7. And I was about 2 fouls away from that because the Celtics fouled the Warriors late and they got that up to 10. So I was almost correct on that one too.
You're on fire. But, as they say, even the sun shines on a dog's ass sometimes.
Oh, Parky's throwing shots this morning. Parky's throwing shots. I love it.
No, mate. I'm still going to give my picks for tomorrow. I'm actually looking forward to to who you like in this game 5 as well. So it's the competitive instincts are kicking in now.
Parky, I'm with BK on this, mate. I've got no clue who's gonna win.
Either do I, but I'm going to pretend that I do.
All right,
that's what you got to do. You got to at least pretend that you know what you're talking about. But
all right, let's take a look at these odds, Parky, and then we're going to start breaking down our picks and preview for tomorrow morning. We've got the Golden State Warriors back home in San Francisco, $1.58 favorites. Boston Celtics 242, lines at -3.5. The total there, I think it's probably the lowest one we've had this series, Parky, at 212.5. Is that correct?
Yes, they've trimmed it down a little bit. We've had 214.5, 213.5. Last game was 213.5. But yeah, this one's 212.5. And the series so far in 4 games, the average has been about 211. So I'm gonna stick with the trusty under. I think we've picked at least a couple of those in this series. So I think it's going to go under. I mean, the last game went under. And as we know, Chef Curry was cooking and had 43, but they still, managed to they only scored 204 points in game 4. So yeah, I still like the under in game 5 at Chase Center.
What are some of the other, betting trends you're seeing from this game tomorrow, Parky?
Oh, not much really. Well, a lot of the championship odds is very interesting, and as you and Borko were talking about how huge that game was. As you see now, the Golden State Warriors are $1.67. They were $2.80 going into game 4. So that win was huge. It's just flipped again, and the Celtics at $2.20. So the Celtics were $1.44 going into that home game 4. So yeah, those odds have blown out. So that's a really interesting one. And if we look at the Finals MVP as well, that's flipped around because before game 4, Tatum was the favorite at $1.80 and Steph blew out to $2.90. And as we see now, Steph's at $1.65 and Tatum's $2.70. Jaylen Brown's an interesting one at $7.50. He's actually averaging more points than Tatum, but he's $7.50. So if you're looking for value and you think the Celtics are going to win, that's a good bet there. And Steph Curry, as you can see, $1.65 to win the NBA Finals MVP, and the Golden State Warriors are $1.67 to win. So as you can see, it's basically if the Warriors win, Steph's going to win the MVP. But it's interesting what you and Borko were just talking about, that it could be a situation if Steph goes off in these next 2 or 3 games, and let's say the Warriors do lose Game 7 by a point, then you might still be able to get get Steph as as the Finals MVP. But you've already discussed that. But I think that is a slight possibility there.
Yeah, it seems to me you're following the same train of thought that old mate MG is following with that reasoning there. But yeah, I can't see it happening.
Yeah, well, like you say, if they didn't give it to LeBron in 2015, then that's probably there's your precedent. But it was interesting that year they gave it to Iguodala, who was guarding LeBron, and they gave it to him because he was playing well on offense and he was rebounding and obviously, had some good assists and stuff, but they gave it to him partly because of the job he did on LeBron. But LeBron led the whole series in scoring. So I don't know how that one worked. LeBron might have got ripped off in that one. But now that's going to be interesting to see. And there's some other things going on as well. Obviously, the correct score. There's only 4 options now because it's going to go to 6 games. And I think the shortest option is the Golden State Warriors at 270 to win in 7. And then you've got the Celtics to win in 6 at 380. So it's it's very interesting the way this has all sort of ended up. And if we look at the series total games, there's only 2 options in that now. It's either going to go 6 or it's going to go 7. And it's interesting to see that the 7 games is the slight favourite at $1.80. So that's I guess people are expecting this series to go 7.
Parky, on the spot. We're going to put you on the spot right now. Game 5 tomorrow. Who wins?
Well, I'm going to go with the Celtics plus 3.5 as my pick.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Celtics. I know that they're away, but they're 7-0 on bounce back games, and these guys were leading in the last quarter in Game 4 by 4 points, and then they missed 7 of their last 8 shots. And during that time, the Warriors went on a 17-3 run. So I really felt like I was ripped off, in that Game 4 picking the Celtics. So I'm going to give them another try in this game. But the big question is, where are you leaning, Nico?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Parky.
You're the expert now.
I've picked the Warriors 3 out of the 4 games. Obviously, I've been correct on 2 of those. Like you said, the Celtics, it took a Herculean effort from Steph Curry for the Warriors to win that game. Can he do it again? He's Steph Curry. Absolutely, he can do it again, right? But it's going to take a little bit more from the other guys on the Golden State Warriors to sort of get those 2 wins that they need to win the NBA championship. And I say all that to say, I think the Golden State Warriors win Game 5 tomorrow. Stick with them. They're going to stick with them. Listen, I picked them to win in 6, right? So I'm going with the Warriors again tomorrow at home. I think we're going to go under. All right, I'm going to go with the under again. I think I've gone with the under 3 out of the 4 games so far. Yep. I'm going with the under. Warriors by 11 tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I'm going to write that down. Warriors by 11. You get some good odds for that.
Yeah, Warriors by 11.
No problem. We'll put that down. If the Warriors win by 11, I don't think you're going to see me on the show on Wednesday. if I can't pick, if you have picked me again and you pick the exact score, then I could be hanging up the headphones.
No, I'm pretty sure we'll keep you around, Parky, till at least the end of the season.
Yeah,
anyway.
Good. Yeah, keep me on.
All right, Parky, that'll do it for us today. We're going to catch you again on Wednesday morning, and I do believe we've got a special guest joining us as well, actually.
Look forward to it, yeah.
All right, fantastic. All right, guys, that's been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show right here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our great mates at topsport.com.au. We're going to catch you guys Wednesday morning. We'll be right back. Bye.